Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this HCTalk podcast. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley, and my two co-partners in crime, as I say oftentimes, brothers from another mothers, is Andy Ortiz, local entrepreneur and businessman, to join us on the program once again, and Chad Fry, the Kansan guy, editor of the Kansan paper, who knows everything, is a connoisseur, and a living encyclopedia of all things local. Just ask Chad. How are you guys doing today?
The Oracle.
No, just ask Lance.
Don't ask me nothing. I'm just trying to be a lyrical gangster from the dirty, dirty West today. That's all. That's it. I didn't even. You know what? I flowed that off the top of my head. I didn't practice it in any way.
Very nice.
So maybe I have a career in what we would call potentially music or something similar to that.
No, if you're that good at stoking egos, you need to go into politics.
No, I'm a failed politician already. No. F. I mean, I got a couple D's, maybe a C here or there, but almost made it doesn't matter, Chad, when it comes to politics. That's all I can say.
It's the damn truth.
If you're not first, you're last.
First, that's correct.
Ricky Bobby.
That's correct. If you ain't first, you last. All right.
You've got to really want to play that game to win.
Really played that game.
Oh, man.
Yes, one lacking. And, it's like people get offended when you say it, but one that oftentimes lacks, the basic fundamental things like integrity, honesty. Well, but hey,
I'm going to say not all of them. There's some good ones out there, but they're always driven by something that made them see some things because it affected or possibly could affect something that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, right. And then they unraveled in their brain the bigger system and decided to get involved, because I do know one politician in particular that I love dearly, who we don't always agree on things, but the guy has a huge heart. He's really trying to pave a way, and mental health will be rose up in some way, shape, or form, which a lot of people don't want to touch that, and it's expensive and it's hard, but we've got to figure it out. And he's becoming very keen to the education system and some of the issues within there, and willing to have hard conversations that are actually productive, and realizes that we don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Right.
But we do need some reform and some help.
Right.
And I'm excited to see the possibilities there.
And disclaimer in what I said, honestly, it's I always try to stay away from, and I say always and never, right? Because the reality is, if 90% of something is one way, that doesn't mean there's not the outlier of 10%. And similar to what you're saying, I think I know who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah, and I'll just give a shout out to my boy, Stephen Owens. Yeah. Love you, dude.
Well, and
got your back always.
And I would agree with that, like 100%. You brought up what I would consider the outlier, somebody who does, in fact, have very strong integrity, very strong values. I don't agree with everything that he believes or that he's
probably glad about that.
Well, yeah.
If you get to know him.
Stephen Owens is this is how rare he is, okay? He is one of the very few people that's in Topeka that I can sit and have lunch with and walk away and feel like two very key things. Number one, I was heard. Whether or not he's going to, again, I'm real big on language. Whether or not he's going to obey, and by the way, Steve, I don't expect you to, is another thing, but I was heard. And the other thing, I don't feel like I got to take a shower after I talk to the guy. Right. And I'm telling you, there's so many people up in Topeka. I just feel like, if they touch me, I'm like, man, I got to go take a shower.
Well, and even worse,
you can just feel that.
And I say, as the farther away government gets from your front doorstep, the creepier it actually becomes.
Yes.
It really is. And I think it has a lot to do with money and campaign financing and who donates to who and who's bought and paid for and all this. I mean, basically, and I'll say this, it is a fairly strong argument that can be made to say, once you reach the national level, such as a representative or potentially a senator of a given state, that's a game changer for most people. That is a unlocking of wealth in a rerouted way. Right? Because where you can't just get people writing you $1 million check, like if somebody wrote Lance $1 million check, well, that's going to get taxed.
Well, that's where that campaign funding comes in at the high levels, right? And you have to be able to have the networks, the wherewithal, and the know-how to unlock those funds. And most people will sit down with you and interview you and can tell by your language if you're equipped or not to handle that level of support? And also, do they want their name behind you
Right.
with the donations they're willing to give you? And then on the other side of it, what is the politician willing to do to secure that and to help you in your position if you donate to their cause? Because apparently if they're donating to you, there's a like-mindedness there to go in a certain direction.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, that's the way our system is designed. So, I mean, until we change something about it, nothing's going to change. I mean, and it's difficult. It's just like you always go back to what things can Congress agree on? And generally speaking, it's to not limit their power. If it comes time for a pay raise or some kind of benefits that they have.
They all agree that they need a raise, right?
You know,
they all agree that they shouldn't be looked at, scrutinized financially.
Correct. Yeah.
And they can make trades
at
any time outside of what doesn't matter. But, you know, insider trading, if you have your Series 66 or 63 and did the same thing, you'd be in a whole different world.
Yeah, if you're in the private sector and you were betting on something that you knew was going to happen or not going to happen, and you had previous knowledge and then sold or bought stocks based upon that previous knowledge, that by definition is a very loose term for insider trading. Yet, Congress has so much more information and so much more knowledge and so much access to all of that then it's like, okay, well, you know, Palantir, let's say, is going to do X, Y, and Z based on our government decisions that we're making. So, hey, everybody go buy into Palantir. That's what it is. Anyway, okay, so we're getting way off track already, guys. Okay, so if anybody questions, you know, whether or not this is, you know, it's organic. What we do oftentimes, there is a few topics that we try to, you know, say, hey, we're going to talk about this week.
Yeah, I haven't looked at my list yet, so should I look at the list?
It's very general. I will say that this week.
Pretty wide open.
Pretty wide open. Of course, we start with Chad and what's going on in the Kansan. And I want to say something before we do that. Locally, the Newton Car Show is coming up this Saturday. This will be released before that. For those that don't know, CCRT, also known as Community Crisis Response Team, they are the ones that head that up.
This is what, year 3 of that?
Year 3. Over the weekend or the Saturday, there are multiple things that also take place, I would say, in conjunction of that or with that, right? Which is...
And in addition, this weekend is absolute insanity.
Just packed full, right? Another one I want to send a shout out to is obviously Friday Night Cruise Night. That's always the night before the car show. During that time, the Newton Lions Club does their drive for food, which you can go to... Well, there's no building there.
320 North Main.
It's right across the street from the old mill. We'll just say that, right? And they set up a truck there, and there's their banner there, and they're willing to take food and non-perishable items in order to donate that to people that are in need. They do it every year. You've got Barbecue on the Bricks with New Jerusalem Mission that always has something that evening. They're going to have live music there and things. So you can go and you can buy yourself some barbecue, donate to a good cause. That's
11 to 5 that day.
11 to 5. Okay, my apologies for that.
No,
that's
all
good.
right.
Yeah, Chad, once again, connoisseur of all things local.
You ask about what's in the cans, and I'm just telling you right here. I'm just letting you know.
Right, and early in the day, at 6 o'clock, the Newton Freemason Lodge 142, which is more or less located on the corner of Main and Broadway. That would be the northeast corner of Main and Broadway. They'll have a pancake feed, all-you-can-eat pancakes. I think it's by donation. There's no listed price necessarily, so be generous. I mean, don't go donate $1 and eat 20 pancakes, which I could probably do. It'd almost be like the less I donate, the more I want to eat, you know? But anyway, no. Support that. You know, the Masons, they do a lot in our community. They're trying to get out there and get their name out there a little bit more and let people know and publicize more of what they do. One thing that this has been very nice is their partnership, I would say, with the school system, where they've contacted the school and said, hey, we want to honor teacher, staff, or faculty once a month, just
really
to
cool.
say how much we appreciate that. And that's just one other way. They give away scholarships, they do all kinds of things, and there's a badass car that you can see that they have that rolls
the
around.
Red one?
The red one, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's
so
nice.
it rolls around. You can buy a raffle ticket for $20 and have a chance to win it. I mean, once a year they give away a car. It seems like that's going to be the deal. And if I didn't cover everything, Chad, what?
Also, May 2nd is the 80th anniversary celebration for the Newton Recreation Commission.
Awesome.
The Chateau Real is having a comedy deal on Friday, but I'll be at Rod's, and there's just so much going on.
There is. It's
in the
ridiculous.
town of nothing to do.
Right.
Yes.
With track meets, with golfing, with all types of athletics and band stuff and singers and
there's like a
plays.
There's and we're hitting concert season because we're getting towards the end of the school year, and I know that there's a concert at the high school on Sunday because I've got to get my kid over there to perform. But you know, there's so much going on this weekend. I don't even know it all. I don't know it all, and I've forgotten a lot of it because it's just like, so this is what I'm gonna do.
Well, it won't be long, and we'll be in the Sand Creek Summer Days. We'll be in,
and then we got
fair.
and then
Latinos Unidos is coming up.
Latinos
That's
Unidos.
this weekend.
But
that's next
damn,
weekend.
Chad Stone's glasses.
Yeah.
You don't even need
May
them
9th.
things.
May 9th.
May 9th.
Yes,
May 9th.
that's right.
And also on May 9th, there's a market at the Honey Barn.
What else?
So you see what you see? This is nuts. It's nuts. So I wrote about the market at the Honey Barn. That's that's a story that's coming on Thursday because there's a new kind of a cool new business that has just bubbled up over the last several months.
Fizzed up.
Yeah. Well.
I wonder if it's the one I'm thinking. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I doubt it because you're trying to make puns that don't really work with it.
Okay. It's
So
not
then
it.
there's more than one. Let's just say that.
So I got a profile about Harvey.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Harvey Q.
So, I met them at the first farmers market of the season in Heston last week.
Good humans.
And then they're going to be out at the Honey Barn next week. And for all intents and purposes, they've taken over the Peabody Meat Market. So if you start seeing that there's not a whole lot of that infamous Peabody sausage floating around, number one, you need to switch to Hillsborough sausage anyway. But no, I'll throw the gauntlet. But number two, it's because that dude has been butchering beef that he's been sourcing from private herd over in Waukene.
Oh, wow. So it's local.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
So
good job, Matt.
Seriously, take a look at the profile of Matt Hockett.
Yes.
And Harvey Q that's coming on Thursday because I didn't have any money at all when I was standing there talking to him down in Heston, but man, I was hungry.
Well, and I wonder.
And my body was like, just give me the whole fridge, dude. I mean,
hey, I'll tell you, that in Kansas, especially out in the area that you're talking about, I have family out there, and I'm interested who that private source is because I have family that has a lot of cattle out there in the Waukene, Trigo County, Ness County, Gove County area. And I often say there's more cows in western Kansas than there are people.
Oh, of course.
That's the damn truth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's incredible. And if we can keep that local, if there's some way to tap into that, have a local source, and then be able to go and buy that, I oftentimes believe that people can be competitive. Especially at a level where we would normally go buy meat that we don't really know where it's coming from. I mean, there's a 3-country possible, I don't know if you guys have
when I
seen
buy my
that
lamb,
lately,
it comes from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Well, and it's frustrating because I know somebody who grows lamb.
Did you know that there are two speaking of western Kansas again, in Quinter and Gove County, the two largest sheep producers are neighbors. And they battle for first and second. And you can contact them and literally buy product from them that first goes to Denver. So it goes from western Kansas to Denver and then from Denver to you. So I'll give you a card. It would be nice. I don't know why that triggered me. See, here we are. Squirrel. Lamb.
Squirrel.
Lamb.
That was
lamb,
faster.
Beef, cattle, beef, lamb.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going, Chad.
Squirrel chasing a rabbit.
keep going.
Yeah, what else we got?
Well,
There's nothing to do here, guys.
Shield AI is blowing up, right? And then I saw in the paper that there was also another business that wanted to increase their footprint.
Yes, Ballard Aviation is trying to lease some more property, and what they're wanting to do is take what is currently in agricultural production out.
Okay.
And it's because that during harvest, thanks to Thanks to the Kansas wind, there's real damage being done to airplanes that are sitting over at Ballard Aviation from this particular field. So they want to take it and put it into grass, which, you know, for taxpayers of Newton and Harvey County, this is a really great deal because they're willing to pay more for that ground than the ag producers that are using it now.
So
and it is right there at the airport.
Yeah, and then not only that, but given the fact that there's nothing wrong with letting, and I'll say this, I'm sure that there will be somebody that want to come and just knife me down over the deal, because there's always two ways to look at things. But any time in Kansas especially, we go from agriculture to like native prairie grass or a type of native grass, I think is a win, right? I personally do. But I also come from Western Kansas, where there was a time in which there was a lot of CRP, and that was just a benefit to a lot of the people out there because it is so difficult to grow because of the dry season and what you can and can't grow and the yield and how much it costs to maintain the field and everything else under the sun. And it also creates a habitat for native species like pheasants and quail and everything else that's out there, deer, antelope, the whole thing.
And we had a Board of Education meeting this week that had enough stuff in it that just, I mean, trying to choke a horse. Holy crap. So, you know, just to be brutally straight, I can barely remember the story that I wrote because I'm still trying to get through a bunch of other things. And so there's a couple things that I haven't written about. One that I'm probably not even going to write about that every kid is going to love. They took a year off the school year, or a year. They took a day off of the school year.
I did see that. Every parent is not going to love that, but all children will love that.
there is a subset of parents that is going to absolutely love another decision that was made that I have yet to write about, and I will because I think it's really important. And that is that they're removing the tech fee from Chisholm Middle School next year.
Good.
The result is that the kids from Chisholm Middle School won't be taking their Chromebooks home at night anymore. So
I'm not sure that's
honestly,
a bad thing.
No, I see it. I see all of it as a good thing. I have a student that's at Chisholm right now. So, you know, not having that Chromebook laying in my living room that's fine.
Right.
You know, in all honesty, it's fine. He's been able to navigate sports seasons and not get behind on his homework. And, you know, we don't feel like he absolutely has to have a Chromebook at home. And if he does, I'll fire up the credit card and get him one. I mean, I ain't going to be happy about it, but that it is what it is. So, and then school fees are going to remain unchanged outside of the removal of that fee. And then there was the really big one from the Board of Education. And it does come, for me personally, it comes with a bit of disappointment as I go through everything. But they're bringing back driver's ed.
Good. Which I think is a
it's awesome. And straight here's the disappointments for me. Number one, I got a kid with a learner's permit. I would love to sign her up. Unfortunately, she's not in the 8th grade, and they are going to target 8th graders. And there's only going to be, you ready for this? Because you're going to have to get on it. There's only going to be 25 spots. They only got one teacher. So you're going to have 25 spots. Understand that the district can grow this.
Well, it's probably a good pilot. I mean, better than just coming in and being like, we're going to do this.
Well, it's better than what we had, which was a whole lot of nothing.
Right.
Triggs retired, and he had two people who were helping him that didn't want to continue on, and here we are 6-7 years later. Yeah. That, you know, now we're talking about bringing it back. So super super cool.
Very cool. So yeah, once again, all things going on in our community. It seems like we just keep growing. We keep doing it. We have a lot of really good people in strong positions of leadership, especially on the administrative side of things, that they have made such a huge impact in our community for the better for many, many, many years to come. And I still don't think that credit is due where credit is deserved. At the amount of impact that has been made, there's been so little praise, and this will lead us into our next topic. So much perspective that gets thrown out that I would consider a very uneducated or uninformed perspective. For instance, okay, so we can move on to our next topic here, unless you got anything else, Chad.
No, I just had one other thing.
Have at it.
The people of Mound Ridge are going to be looking for a new school superintendent because their last two superintendents have been absolute rock stars. And the one that they just hired a couple years ago, Cody Ryerson, my brother from another mother in McPherson, just took the position as superintendent in McPherson.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Congratulations, Cody. You earned it.
Moving up. And okay, I'm going to try to do something here to lead into the next topic, but because I know who you're talking about, and they are a rock star.
Oh man, he's awesome.
And we have an awesome rock star ourselves here at USD 373. So we see this, right? We have teachers, we have staff, we have faculty, we have the school system that's doing a wonderful job. And I want to highlight administration, because something that I know with my education, because I have an MPA, right, and that focuses in on governance, right, or positions that are in the nonprofit sector. Would be an administrative position, something similar to like an economic development, city administrator, county administrator. These are just some things, right? So this is where my education comes from. And one of the things that is very well known amongst individuals with that type of education and the position that they are in is that the tide can change almost instantaneously on you, because oftentimes you work for elected officials, and elected officials are directly influenced by who they would say, and I oftentimes argue, the loudest voice in the room. So based on what you just said when it comes to people being a rock star, leads me into the next part of the program, which is it depends on who you ask. Right. It depends on who you ask whether Newton is moving in the right direction or not. There was recently an election that we had, and it kind of made me really think about how much people are aware of what's going on, and made me very aware that sadly many people have a difficult time understanding the intricacies of how these different municipalities and organizations operate, especially at a nonprofit or a level of organization that everybody has a say in, right? Like Chad. If Chad's running the Kansan and you don't like the way Chad's running the Kansan, well, it's his business, so you can do it and you can fluff off, But as far as like when it comes to elections have consequences. Who sets policy? Who administers the policy? Oftentimes administration. It depends on who you ask. So last week when we had the podcast, this is what I want to talk about to bring us into our next session, was that we had talked about how the media, very generally, is stoking this fire. And we got a couple comments on the short clips that we had, and the first two comments, because I look at them, and one was, it's the right-wing media that's been just doing this and creating so much controversy and rift in our country. And the very next comment was, it's the left-wing media that's doing it. So then who's to blame? I mean, this was the sentence that I had for what we were going to cover here on the program, and it was, who's to blame while everyone points the finger?
Everybody's to blame. I'm going to quote something. I'm going to do my best to quote it. And it is the very first editorial that ever appeared in the Newton Kansan on August 22, 1872. In referencing media, the very first publisher wrote the following words: "A pure political organ has no reason to exist." Now take a look at our national media. I don't care what side of the aisle. Just look at them. If they're pure political organs, quit bothering with them.
But is there any...
Turn them off.
There's very few options now. Okay? Like for real. It's as simple as... And I'm just throwing out some names here, okay? So, because we all know who CNN is, right? And oftentimes... and I'm not going to say in all cases. Well, and oftentimes, not in cases, they kind of lean left, right? Then you got Fox, right? That I'm going to say kind of leans right. And I'm being nice, okay? I'm being nice, very nice, right? Because there's the interpretation, and it all comes back to who is consuming the information. So if where I stand in my political beliefs, right, might be moderate, okay? So then I look at one as being, slightly liberal, right? And one being slightly conservative, and it's because of where I stand. So it's the consumer that then makes that. If you ask somebody who is left wing or identifies as left wing, ideally, let's say a Democrat, okay, or a part of the Democrat Party, CNN is not liberal. Fox News is extreme. CNN is not. If you are conservative or identify predominantly with conservatism or and I don't even know if I would call it this, but it is what it is. If you're more right wing or identify more with the Republican Party, then Fox News is spot on and CNN is extreme. So does that so then I come back to the question, right? Who's to blame? Who's to blame? Is it these entities that are pushing a certain, and propaganda can be both negative and positive, just a word here, okay? Propaganda, whatever their narrative is, whatever Fox's narrative is, whatever CNN's narrative is, or the respective wing or entity or influence or social media influencer or podcaster, whatever it is it them or are they just preaching to the choir? And the consumer or the person we've talked about this on the program before.
We have.
I don't know if we're talking it till we're blue in the face or not, but it's still trying to get people to wake up.
And again, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care. I just don't. Wake up, smell the coffee, understand. When we're talking about CNN, Fox News, OWN, MSNBC, CNBC, ABC, CBS, the alphabet soup can go on. When we're talking about all of those, you're talking about businesses. And they are there to make money. And how are they making their money? They're making their money by selling your eyeballs.
Right.
Yours. Okay? So where are you to blame? You keep giving that to them. Mm-hmm. And you don't demand better.
Mm-hmm.
But then, okay.
So while they're doing this crap, you're sitting there eating it up.
Right.
And then for decades,
and then regurgitating it.
For decades, straight up, for decades, I was registered as an independent because I believed that that's what people wanted. I believed when they picked up the Kansan that they wanted to know that the editor was writing from the middle and neutral. But I feel like loving this town at times is like being in an abusive marriage. Because no matter how much I love and no matter how much I work and no matter how much I do, you just keep telling me I'm not important. Well, and that move never paid off. That move was, this town told me repeatedly, no, that's not where we want you.
That's right. Because
and it's where I've stayed, even though my party registration is different. During that entire time, you've been eating up CNN, Fox, MSNBC. You've been eating that crap up.
And
telling not only me, because if they're honest, my competition, they've been taking their hits as well. It's not just me. Folks, if you want to know where your responsibility lies in this big mess, it's because you keep giving yourself to them. Stop.
And that's like an abusive relationship too.
It is.
Because when you think
you are being abused.
Yeah.
Stop it.
And what is it? And I want to throw this Andy's way because he's being too quiet right now on the program. But what is it when it comes to this dynamic of a relationship where an individual hears something, sees something, and then doesn't question any of it? What is it? I mean, you are in a position of being a school board member, so an elected official, okay? And you've talked on the program before, so I know you know firsthand about being in that kind of a position where you open yourself up for everybody to have an opinion. And then 30% of them might be coming way out of right field. 30% might be coming way out of left field. Then you got 30% that kind of has an idea, but I mean, you know, they're trying.
Depends on what friend pulls their ear harder that they feel has credibility with them.
And then you got the 10% that are informed, that are like, hey, I know you got a tough job. I know you're doing what you can do.
And some of that is cool because let's just talk about school closure, right? It's one of the hardest things that our group had to go with besides the regular way situation. And that was just a horrible time within weeks of each other, which, I mean, just really tore and you talk about administration and leadership, right? You want to talk about a Mozart of leadership when most superintendents would have said, screw you guys, I'm out of here, because that had nothing to do with him and his decision making. That had to do with the dysfunctional board not operating correctly with egos and all the rest of it, me included, right? So when you get through those types of things and you look at the system as a whole, Lance, the amount of scrutiny you get from people that just don't have information or choose to, even today, knowing that another school closure it needs to be discussed. Looming. And I've been saying this when I was on the board.
Yeah.
Like I was saying this 2 years ago very openly because I didn't want to shock people. The numbers are the numbers are the numbers. I don't care how you want to twist it. I mean, and then people still think we should open Walton back up because of their sphere of influence and their thinking and what they think it did or what they think our agenda is around it, when it just comes down to numbers and shrinking in because we are smaller, we have to be smaller, right? Cost is cost. We have to readjust our system to be financially responsible for the greater good of the whole, to be able to educate these kids at the highest possible level.
Everybody's going through this.
Everybody.
Yes. All across the state.
But here's the thing.
All across the nation.
And I don't want to get ahead of our conversation because I know you have another list on there. It's like, is America the best country in the world? And I'm like, of course we are. Like, absolutely we are. Where else would you go if I paid you to go there and said you can't come back? How many people would take that? And it's like, if our little brains and our little life experience, right, does not allow us to see the bigger picture, right? Do we have our faults? Of course we do. Do we have things to clean up? Absolutely we do. Our system's a little jinkety for the way times are today. Yes, but I believe in us. I believe in our children. I believe in our future. I believe the future is bright and it looks bright. I think that's the messaging we need, not the doom and gloom that sells.
Can I challenge you quickly though on
Please.
that? Okay, so let's do that. Let's move on to the other topic. Andy let the cat out of the bag, and the reason that no, and it's good because that's what needs to happen. I'm 100% with you. Okay, so Chad made a comment about a specific news anchor. It was a movie, right? It was a
episodic television show that ran for about 3 seasons on HBO. And I went back and watched the speech again, and my belief did not change. I agreed with every single freaking word.
Right. So okay. So then my challenge becomes this. Okay. And this is why I think this is very subjective. Okay. You said you believe in the future. Okay. I believe in the future too. Chad, do you believe and hope in the future of America that we can get better, that we can do more?
I don't know.
Okay, so we got an
I don't know if
maybe.
I don't know if we're fractured to the point that we can't come back or not.
Right, and I would say I'm probably in between the both of you.
Does that make sense?
I would say I would change and say I'm between the both, right? Because when I think about the future, I'm hopeful, like Andy is. I want to believe. I've always been taught. I've always believed that America is the greatest nation on this planet and forever will be. And the future of what we can do, because the way our system is designed, is to steer this thing back. And even though we have our faults, we'll learn from them and we'll move forward. But at the same time, I have some pessimism because of what Chad says, which is, I often ponder, have we gone past the point of no return when it comes to our country?
So let me ask you. I mean, if we're going to be asking, it's rhetorical questions, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's
it's all subjective because, like, you compare us to who? Like,
are we living in a nation that could build another Hoover Dam?
Absolutely.
I don't think we can. Can we build an interstate system like Eisenhower did? I don't think we can. We're too fractured at this time of history. There's too much. Okay? We're living in a period where we, the people, we're scared of each other, and we keep sending idiots to make our decisions for us. That's a pretty strong word.
Yeah, but what does that say about us?
And then when you take a look at our decision makers, they're more in tune with remaining in power than working together to get big stuff done.
So when you're talking, let's go back to politics, because this is where this is the undertow here is politics.
Right.
The division in politics, 50-50. And when a guy who's like me, who's been known as an ultra conservative, a party boss, all these crazy things, right?
I love it. You were a party boss until you weren't a party boss anymore.
I said, I don't think we should be at war right now.
Yeah.
And all the other things that I push up against that I'm going to tell you what I think, right?
Right.
I don't think that if you're against wind energy, it means you're a Democrat or for it or what. I don't think that just because the COVID shot was you're either Republican or Democrat if you choose this, I think you did that. I'm not falling for that. This is just what I think, right? I think people are not very smart. When you don't use bathrooms, when you're a dude and you have a problem with somebody going in your daughter's bathroom that does have more than likely some mental health challenges, I don't want them in the bathroom if you have a penis with my daughter.
Right.
And for a party not to stand up against that really freaking bothers me. And I'm standing up against people that think they're like me on the other side, but I don't see enough on the other end of people standing up and saying, no, that's not right. Sex changes at 8 years old is not okay. You're massacring children that have no freaking clue. They're believing in dinosaurs last year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where's common sense? Where are the real dudes who are going to step up and say, freaking stop? Freaking stop. We're fighting over gender. He, her bullshit.
Yeah.
Stop.
And that's just one of many, many
No, but
topics.
this is the problem. That's how stupid it's gotten.
Yeah.
And people don't want to say anything because they're pansy asses. And a guy like me will say what I'm saying, and then there's a small group of people that are going to jump me for this, and I don't give a damn.
Yeah.
But we need more people just being honest about the basic fundamentals of human decency and how we work as humans. If you want to dress as a drag, go freaking dress as a drag. Right. But you're a dude.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to my belief, right? And it's such a... I mean, we're already canceled. You know this, right?
Yeah.
We get pushed down.
But you're kind of going into these high-level things when it's not that high level, brother.
And I would tend to agree with you, right? Like, I look at...
Okay, let me challenge you there. What do you mean tend to? What I just said right there.
I tend to do exactly what you just said with your criticism.
So is there any rationale that there are men and women?
No. I was talking about when I go to you said I go higher than that. When it's basic, I go higher. Like I seem to look at the head of the snake, right? Like I talk.
But the head of the snake is ground floor. It's like this is the arguments they have us having.
Yes.
And we're not able to just say what it is.
Well, no, I agree with you 100%.
Okay, so we are on the same page.
Topic.
Okay.
Yes.
But that's that topic and many more because that fumbles it. So when we don't stand up for the basics of the basics in the masses, then it causes the divide because people make it like there's more people that think like that than don't.
Agreed.
And this is why we're fractured.
Yes.
Most of us agree on most things.
I don't disagree with you. I would tend to believe that
that's the conversation that I believe needs to happen more.
Well, and I think like we'll even and I love her to death here locally. Haircutting company Shannon Reithard commented recently on. She said, "Man, Lance and I don't agree on a lot of things." But we also agree on a lot of things.
That's awesome.
And it's, and just to go public with that, to say, that she really appreciates the conversations that we have. She knows that we don't agree on everything, but we have mutual respect for one another. And some would say that I'm a little bit more this way or she's a little bit more this way. And then there's, it's like, well, that goes back to the needing to find the common ground. Like, for instance, what happened to the road needs to be paved? You agree no matter what side of the aisle you're on that the road needs to be paved. I agree that whatever side of the aisle I'm on, the road needs to be paved.
How do we pay for it?
Let's figure out how to pay for it, right? So with that being said, we've gotten so far from that in identity politics because that's what gets people elected. And when I was saying like my two-part thing, I agree with you that I believe to live and let live, right? If somebody wants to do what they want to do, that's fine. But government is responsible to ensure, right, that what happens in the public space. Like if you want to go and you want to drink, that's fine. You go drink. But getting in a car and operating a vehicle where you could potentially harm somebody because other people are driving as well, you don't got that right, right? So similar to the bathroom argument that seems to just blow my mind that we're having an argument is, if you want to do this in your own personal life, then be my guest. But when it comes to a public restroom where everyone else is existing, and then try to level that up and make it a civil rights argument similar to what it's not even close. But we're sitting here having these debates consistently. But I'm somebody that furthermore believes in leadership. Right. So when we are having these arguments down here on this level, it's because of what leadership is doing. Because this is going to lead us into the next part of the program where I believe that we have gone back to this inability to think based upon what we're told. We are told, like watching that, going full swing back to CNN and Fox News. Well, I get my information from Fox News, and whenever it is, and I don't, but I get my information from Fox News, and so whatever they tell me, that is what I believe. And then I don't have the wherewithal to do anything other than regurgitate that information, just like forever Trumpers, just like never Trumpers, just like people at CNN or the Democrat Party or the Republican Party. Well, the Republican Party said, or Trump said, or this is what happened. Well, how do you know that's what happened? Right? And so then if I'm told this is what I need to believe, and this is where I identify, and this is what I'm identifying my belief, then how do you get people out of that loop, Andy? When we're sitting here in this situation, it's like, no, we don't want you to see where we agree because that doesn't profit the machine. What we want to do is have you disagree. And so then focus on these things. Andy's over here going, no, let's focus on what we agree. But it's mind-blowing to people, generally speaking.
Yeah, that's, Tony Robbins, a guy who's built.
Love Tony Robbins.
He's built so many, so much in so many people. He's affected millions of people, literally, with his career so far. And he had a show that they tried to do. I think it went 1 or 2 seasons. And they just cancel it because people don't want to hear that type of thinking. They don't want to take personal responsibility.
Correct.
They don't want to get analytical. They don't want to manifest greatness. They want to victimize, and they want to fight, and they want to tear into each other. But then you have this other show, Jerry Springer.
Oh,
right.
That just blows.
And it went how many seasons?
My entire
20 or 30.
childhood.
So think about this.
Life.
Really stop and think. Jerry Springer, which y'all both laughed was big time for a very long time.
Yeah.
And what was up there on display? And people went to that with their popcorn and sat on their couches and just took all that in for decades. But yet Tony Robbins would come out there with some self-help talk and some mindset stuff and how to think critically and how to overcome objections. And he was gone in 2 seasons. Think about this. This is what the human genome, including me, chooses to do without awareness.
But we precondition and pre-program to do that. I mean, that comes back to, I guess it comes back to personal responsibility and critical thinking.
It's called programming, but we've gone so far. We're choosing our programming at this point. We're choosing to watch CNN and think they're the only truth that exists. We're choosing to watch Fox and believe it's the only truth that exists. We're choosing at a local level to say that school was the death nail to my way of life.
Yeah.
Right? Not ever looking outside of your sphere or what's really going on or having any, or not even choosing to talk to the people that are making the decisions in a way that's appropriate. You're coming with an agenda right away without any information.
Right.
And and dude, I do it too. And I've done it. I'm doing a lot less of it. I've gotten better, but it's kind of a hard way to track when you realize that most people don't give a damn.
Right.
They want to know, they want to hear their own thoughts regurgitated back to them, which is causing a lot of issues. And what the social media and these algorithms are doing is exactly that. Yeah. Chad did a great job earlier of talking about eyeballs and media. And you have to pay for people that write the stories and for critical thinkers to bring up information. There is an audience that people are tapping into that makes money, that wants to hear a certain thing. So there are a lot of journalists, I call them commentators nowadays, that go and they know what their organization wants them to do and they write accordingly.
Yeah.
And too many people are willing just to do that because it pays well.
Yeah.
Right?
Pays a heck of a lot better than what I do.
Well, and I tell you, these people that we watch on television, these commentators, right? That we, the Sean Hannitys, the Breitbarts, all of these individuals that we know, trust, and love. See, those are the key things.
And their numbers are tanking, by the way.
Yeah, because I think people are waking up. Okay, and here, before we move on to the next topic.
Before we move on, this all started
with the number one. Is America number one?
Yes.
I got some stuff there on that.
And I'm the one who kind of brought it up because of a monologue that was done by Jeff Daniels that, number one, it moved me a lot the first time I saw it. And Jeff Daniels has said, changed his career because it was that important. And it's the last paragraph that is ridiculously important. And here it is. We sure used to be. We stood up for what was right. We fought for moral reasons. We passed down and struck down laws for moral reasons. We waged wars on poverty, not poor people. We sacrificed. We cared about our neighbors. We put our money where our mouths were, and we never beat our chests. We built great things. We made ungodly technological advances, explored the universe, cured diseases, and cultivated the world's greatest artists and the world's greatest economy. We reached for the stars, and we acted like men. We aspired to intelligence. We did not belittle it. It didn't make us feel inferior. We didn't identify ourselves by who we voted for in the last election, and we didn't scare so easy. And we were able to be all of these things and do all of these things because we were informed by great men, men who were revered. The first step in solving any problem is recognizing that there is one. America is not the greatest country in the world anymore. I'm going to add a line. But we can be.
Yeah,
so who would we say is the greatest country in the world?
Well, this is why I put the headliner as subjective, and I'll read something here too, because we had somebody that commented on one of our on that short, and they said, "I came from a third world country. America is the greatest country in the world. If you don't think that it is, go out and touch some grass somewhere else." And I'll say this: I'm not in disagreement with that, but I have to say this. coupled with what Chad said at the very ending, is, we've got to acknowledge the fact that we are slipping in many, many, many ways.
There is no place where we are statistically the number one country in the world.
Oh, so well, there is. Okay, here it is.
Yep.
The U.S. remains the world leading military and economic power in 25-26, but I question that because we're almost to $40 trillion in debt. That's number one. Okay. Driven by unmatched defense spending, technological innovation, and financial system dominance. However, its standing is complex. While ranked number one in power, it faces lower rankings in quality of life, metrics like healthcare, life expectancy, and education. So when I say subjective, is America the greatest nation on earth? One would have to say yes in this subject, this way, that way, this way, but not in this way, that way, this way. So then that becomes the point of contention, I think, in a lot of people's minds, is if a nation to prosper has to be leading in technology, especially now, leading in education, leading in life expectancy, leading in high birth rates, low mortality child rates, clean water. Okay, I would say this. There's so much here, right? There's so much here to think about because, yes, compared to what third world country? If we're comparing ourselves to
I don't even say third world.
And I would say this.
Compared to anywhere. I mean, look at what's going on in Spain right now, right? I've heard somebody say, well, Spain's the best. And you look at what's going on in Spain, and I'm like, dude, they're getting overtaken by Muslims right now.
Right.
And it is not
religious extremism.
It is ridiculous what's happened, and they are the neighbors now. The surrounding countries are pissed,
right,
because of what's happening there. Look at what's happening in Germany. I mean, is that better?
Well, Europe.
Oh, well, Canada has better healthcare. Really? That's why a lot of the people are flying to see a doctor that I'm going to see in a couple months in Cancun, because the people with money don't get their healthcare there because they have to wait 2 years to get anything done. Right. I mean, what's better?
Right.
By the way,
I'll say this.
I have listened to that talking point about Canada from conservatives for decades. And not a damn one of you has ever gone to a doctor in Canada.
Oh, we got into the U's.
Not a one.
Can I go over there and get medical care?
I don't think you can. Chad.
Try being on a mission trip in charge of a bunch of kids and needing to get one to a doctor.
In Canada?
And that in Canada, Montreal and Quebec. You have to do that. And that will blow your freaking mind.
Okay, so I'll go
because
here. When we're talking about
stuff people are waiting on is not routine.
So where Canada might be better when it comes to immediate generalized services, maybe they're not as good when it comes to specialized services where you need to get some kind of operation. Or okay, so
the doctor that I'm working with,
and we absolutely do not have the best healthcare here in the United States. There's not even a place in the United States where we have the best outcomes.
Well, I'm going to Mexico.
Period.
Right. Okay. And a lot of people are doing that.
So I'm going to Mexico to get a hernia surgery, right? And the doctor that I work with, he has a lot of Americans and even some from this area that go to him. He specializes in hernia surgeries. His majority of his people come from Canada. And the reasons that they give, I've talked to some of them that are actually patients of his because I did my background check on them. And they're like, no, it was great. And I was like, well, why didn't you get it over there? Isn't it free? It's like, dude, I have to wait like 2.5 years.
And that might be the case too. Yeah. And it's something like a hernia, which is very common in many people's lives.
And I'm sure there's spaces and gaps, right? I'm sure there is. But that one is not one of them. And that's my experience so far. I'm going to, because our healthcare, trust me, I'm leaving. I'm going to Mexico. It's cash pay.
Right.
And it's so much cheaper.
Considerably cheaper.
A lot cheaper.
So many ways.
Like half.
You know, in Mexico.
And I get a little trip in.
And you know, it's like this. Like so I'll say this. When I say that America is no longer the greatest country, I'm going to say that there has to be a comparison to other countries, so that's subjective and dependent on this. But I want to say internally what I really believe, and I don't know quite how to articulate it, imagine that, is that I don't compare myself, nor should I compare myself to others, right? I should compare myself, and I have to tell myself this. I have to learn this, okay? Because of how we've been pre-programmed, right? I look at myself and I value my looks, my stature, my money, my what I have based upon the Joneses, right? So then it becomes a comparison. Well, I don't have what Andy has, but I have more than Chad, or I don't have what Chad has, but I have more than Andy in this way, or whatever. So our constant inclination, psychological inclination, is comparison of self to others, and that goes to a whole nother level. But what it is if I'm doing it right, I'm comparing myself to where I am today versus where I was yesterday versus where I want to be tomorrow. So it's okay to get real with self. Americans, United States, this is where we are not doing good. This is where we are not being successful. Just slowly falling behind when it comes to education. We're slowly falling behind when it comes to these other things that were mentioned. So if that's the case, then let's work on that. Let's make ourselves better. It's okay to say, this is what I need to work on, therefore I work on it so we can be better tomorrow than we were today. But I have a true issue with the amount of importance that we have placed on our military industrial complex, because we are way out there. So let's go to the last topic. Before we have final words.
Well, I want to leave with one thing.
Well, it's not final words yet, Chad. We got
I want to leave on this conversation. Okay. I got one thing I want to lead with. The reason that this is such a difficult conversation to have, especially when you start talking about stats, is there's a plethora of ways to evaluate everything. For example, we have the largest national debt in the world. However, when you compare that national debt to a percentage of GDP, we do not. Japan's got that one. So, who's in worse shape?
So,
us or them?
Okay, so real quick, hold on. What did America do for Japan after we annihilated them?
We rebuilt them, honestly.
And for how long did we continue to shoot money over there as a country for them to rebuild?
I think we
just slowed that down like 2 years ago, which it was literally 40 some years of 50 years of cash, big chunks of money with trade deals and stuff that because we felt bad and we did what we thought was right at the time. And look at NATO and how many countries we stand by to protect and how much we pay of that bill and how much other countries aren't paying. On times, so many other little things that we do for others. And are we perfect? No. Do we act a scuttlebutt and do crap and behind the scenes and take out people that we shouldn't take out and all for our interests? Yes. I'm not saying that. I'm not ignorant. But are we a net positive for the world as a whole?
I think so.
My grandfather wouldn't have been so proud to become an American, for me to be my firstborn here in this country, for me to be excited about the opportunities I have as an American. And I'm not going to let it go. And so I think people that are 4 or 5 generations in need to snap about the people who tracked away to get you guys here. Because we can be the best. And I still believe we are the best. We got some work to do. We've got to clean up our house. We've got to get honest. We've got to start fighting for real things. But we have to start thinking about each other first. That's why people, you're right wing or America first. No, man. I just know that we need to clean up our own house first. We do need to get rid of some debt. We do need to reevaluate how we're giving back. And sometimes you need to come back in and shrink a little bit to get things in order to go back out and fix things. And I think we went too far. We've given away tons of technology. People rip us off left and right. A lot of those stats for some of those other countries aren't even real. They manipulate money and currency like crazy to make things work for their own good. I mean, we do a lot of things really well, and we're not perfect. Jesus, I know we're not, but we're damn good. And we can get better, and that's exciting. And for me, first generation, proud to be an American, I mean, my kids, I'm so grateful they're growing up here. And I think we've lost sight of that, a lot of us. And I'm saying us because we're Americans. We've got to be careful what we manifest. We do a lot of great things. Of course, there's trash to take out. And I think we're getting to that point where we're so freaking pissed off because I'm afraid that if we continue this, maybe that will change. But if you've lived or have family that lives in another country, pretty freaking amazing what we got here. We get to wake up every day with a ton of freaking opportunity, depending on how we choose to see it. There are tens of millions of people in this world that would come tomorrow if we let them, for the opportunity to clean our driveways for pennies on the dollar. Just saying, we've got something special.
We're just going to wrap this up with final words. I don't know, Andy. I'm not going to say that was your final word, but damn.
May 9th, Latinos Unidos.
Yeah, and then I'll tell everybody what we're covering next week with my final word.
Okay.
Chad?
Okay.
That's your final word today? Okay.
No, I think well, I want to give a little breathing room. I want people to ruminate. I want people to ruminate on Andy. So, pressed for a final word, and I'm nervous. I'm overjoyed, and I can't wait to watch I Am Peter be produced. I didn't realize how much I was looking forward to this until I went back and reread the script yesterday. And straight up, when I'm reading my own stuff and I'm crying, I know I did a good job. So I can't wait. And I'm really excited that a student that is a member of my church is going to be a part of that production. It just kind of adds a little bit more meaning there. So, and that's one of those things that is on that crazy calendar of this weekend. And also on that crazy calendar this weekend, happy birthday, Mom. Love you.
Got to send a shout out to moms always.
85.
Yeah. I gotta say, Andy, I hope I didn't pull a switcheroo on you as far as that. I mean, we're coming into the program and being real. I felt and know your heart and your passion and your conviction, and I think that just leads into what people that don't know you very well or know who you are at the core. That's Andy at the core. Just so people are aware, And I almost don't want to give a final word because I almost want to let that just sit out there for people to think about. And I guess I'll try to arrange my final word this way. And next week, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the subject. The main subject that we're going to talk about is titled, "What if everything you were ever told was a lie?" And the idea behind that is for people to really start thinking deeply about why they believe what they believe, what their passions are, what their heart is, and then to consider, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Is everything that I've ever believed up to this point could potentially have been wrong? Then one of two things are going to happen. One, you're either going to learn where you were wrong, or two, it's going to make you stronger in the belief that you already have when proven right. But we've got to go back to this where we have the conversations like what we have today. Because even sitting at this table with what we were talking about and what Andy said, I'm going to ruminate on that the rest of the day. And what Chad says and how Chad believes or how Andy believes, having these conversations challenge me to really think about what I think, how I feel, and what I believe. And no man can be an island unto themselves. And that, when that happens, that's when things get dangerous. So it's very important to have conversations with people, even if they seem tough. Do it in a respectful manner. challenge yourself. Ask yourself, is what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing, really the way that it is? Or is there more to what's going on? And can I learn from this? Have a good one, everybody.